In the year 2202, Weyland Yutani were in the process of conducting experiments on a classified ground research station on the planet of LV-895, known as Paulo Station. While the station's experiments were very extensive, covering all sorts of native species to LV-895, as well as those sourced from Earth and across the Middle Heavens, the star of their show was the specimens of xenomorph XX121, also known by the species name of Plagiaris praepotens. But today the project wants to focus in on one of these test subjects in particular, test subject number 3, otherwise nicknamed Monica. The XX121 tests on Paulo Station began after a shipment of 12 overmorph stage XX121s were brought planet-side from the Katanga refinery, recently parked in orbit around LV-895. The researchers on the station were instructed to conduct an array of varying experiments on these overmorphs, and the hosts that would eventually be used to breed the XX121 young from them. The CEO of the facility, one Administrator Vincent Bellows, had human convicts brought to the facility to be used as hosts for the coming test subjects. Bellows made sure that his paperwork was in order, having promised things like handsome monetary rewards and service payouts, and benefits to the families or chosen individuals of these convicts for their cooperation in the study. One of the convicts was named Monica Enright. Enright was a serial killer born on Earth in the late 2150s. Coincidentally enough, Miss Enright had previously engaged in a romantic relationship with one of the station's doctors, Timothy Honecker. While the background of the host might be considered unimportant, I pose that that's a short sight. I'll explain why shortly. Monica Enright as a child was reported to have suffered some kind of abuse or harassment from her parents, shaping her psychology to the point where she was driven to comply and pleasure all those around her, lest make someone disappointed or agitated and suffer the presumed punishment, similar to that of what she endured as a child. She was like this for most of the first half of her life, and was one of the main factors her and Honecker's relationship broke down. He was allowed to do as much wrong as he liked, and she would comply with it. This drove him away, and the two went their separate ways in life. That was until the 2180s, where she would get her first taste of violence, after she killed a man she was in a relationship with at the time. Initially, it was just to get some money. However, the act unlocked a dark primal thing within her, and she would go on to conduct a wild killing spree, which halted after she was arrested aboard a Wayuu space station for, you guessed it, an additional murder. She would eventually sign up to be a part of the Paulo Station experiments, and likely was to forward any benefit from the project onto her son that she had given birth to earlier in her life, but after her relationship with Honecker. After being brought to the facility, Enright and her corresponding overmorph were injected with the engineer's genetic accelerant, nicknamed the pathogen, to see what effect this would have on the resulting creature from the host and the overmorph being tainted. And while nothing too extraordinary occurred, there were some notable changes to the chestburster and the adult XX121 that it would become. Physically, the resulting creature birthed from Monica Enright, simply known as Test Subject 3, was of a drone cast, and likewise was very similar to it. However, it also grew slightly larger and taller, also taking on more unusual colour types, with a main shade of its exoskeleton carapace being dark, with light whitish-bluish striping all over it. The process of its birth was also abnormal. While most chestbursters rip their way out of their host within a few seconds, Test Subject 3 took its time. nearly an entire minute before erupting from its host. This doesn't seem to be from lack of trying. The creature, once matured, also appeared to be much more cunning, aggressive, and bloodthirsty than its brethren. Which all begs the question, why? It's likely the pathogen had something to do with its larger stature and it being more physically powerful and even more resistant to damage inflicted on the creature's exoskeleton, additionally becoming more aggressive than your average XX121. But I think there might be more at play here than simply the mutations brought on by the pathogen. We know that the xenomorphs have some kind of system for shared generational memory, theorized by many to be genetic memory of some kind. So I find it likely that the highly aggressive and seemingly bloodthirsty traits exaggerated within this creature are likely to do with the host from which it came. Test Subject 3's heightened aggression seems to have been adapted from its host, Monica Enright, and her own violent and aggressive psyche. Dr. Timothy Honecker also reported that Monica, his nickname for Test Subject 3, following her escape during the fall of Paulo Station, stalked him relentlessly, seeming to him that the Monica XX121 had narrowed its sights on stalking and killing him in specific, due to their shared history and the hate Monica Enright had developed for him following his leaving her. Honecker believed that the creature had taken some of her personality and sought to kill him out of its host's past feelings towards him. Reports of Honecker's claimed that following his escape of the facility aboard a shuttle from the station, the creature followed, hitching a ride aboard, murdering his fellow survivors swiftly before also making a game of stalking him throughout the Katanga refinery in orbit. Whether or not the genetic memory was a factor, or whether Honecker was just being paranoid or not, Honecker has repeatedly had run-ins with Monica during his time on Katanga, waiting for a rescue party of United America's Colonial Marines. But somehow, despite the odds, he was able to survive long enough against the Xenos aboard and against Monica, just in time for a Colonial Marine Fireteam to arrive. After making it aboard the station, the Fireteam eventually are able to take the dangerous and ferocious drone Monica down, rescuing Timothy Honecker from the Katanga refinery. But that is currently all the data we have on this unique Xenomorph XX121 variant. We hope to cover all the alien species surrounding the events at Paulo Station and those native to LV-895 in the coming weeks and months as we obtain more data. Before you close transmission, I want to show you the ACHERON Colonial Marketplace, the one-stop shop for all Project ACHERON merchandise. All proceeds go to fund our future endeavours under the project. So if you want to support the project and look good doing it, pick up some ACHERON merch. But what other data logs would you guys like to see? If you have any ideas or have any questions to be answered, please leave them in the comments, on the LV426 Discord, or on the LV223 subreddit. If you really want to support what we do here and gain a bunch of awesome rewards, consider joining as a Project ACHERON channel member, like Project Director Chris Dasinger, company representatives TheSixxness, M56 Smart Gunner, and Sith Lord 906, and like team members Raunchy, Ambrosia, TheRyanSmee, and Jack Fleming Jr. I hope to see and hear from you all again very soon. Project ACHERON, bringing the knowledge and the power directly to you.